first Evil Dead, the problems were tough because we didn't know what we were doing. There was no unions involved, and we didn't know anything. We sort of made it up and learned a lot. Only looked back later and went, wow, what a nightmare that was. Second shoot was a huge nightmare. So we were like, there's got to be a better way to do this.
I don't even know if Sam remembers this or not, but it is in fact the case of before he went to go make Evil Dead 2, he came over and he brought over a bottle of scotch. And he and I drank this bottle of scotch and discussed production. Because so far he had made 2 films that the production was insane. I said, you know, you gotta do storyboards or a shot list or something. You gotta let everybody in on what it is you intend to do. And he did, and since then he's become a very big proponent of storyboards. I mean, his storyboards are hysterical because he draws stick people.
He would draw storyboards and we were like, what is this? And he goes, it's the evil hand, it's possessed. And we're like, you know, okay, but I guess we're not taking these literally. But what's great is he conveyed his shots that way, and that's really all a director needs to do. He doesn't need to be a sketch artist, he just needs to be able to convey the shots and what's going to happen in them.
Eugene Schluglitz was actually our initial director of photography.
Who was the director of photography who shot all the night stuff and all the stuff in the woods and at the cabin.
And of course, you know, we had the North Carolina crew, which is, when it was 3:30, I'm going to go home. So no, but we have all this stuff to do. Time for me to go home. And that was what we were run up against all the time.
And we had, I guess, what you would call the Night of the Long Knives, where we were forced to, because of their sort of uncooperative nature of this whole crew, we fired in the course of a weekend the entire camera crew, grip, and electric department. Because they were questioning everything that we did. Moving the camera here, lighting there, and we're like, wait a second, guys, this isn't normal. We'll tell you where to do stuff, where to light, don't worry about it, it's not your problem. And so it became just not a good situation, and we replaced a third of our crew over the course of a weekend.
And then Peter Deming came on, so by the time we got to the location of the soundstage, Peter was the DP.
Yeah, it was sort of a surprise to me. I mean, I had heard about Sam, I had heard about the first Evil Dead. I hadn't actually seen it. Got on a plane on a Friday and was shooting on Monday. We talked briefly about the look that he wanted. We looked at what had been shot already and just sort of took it from there. There wasn't a lot of time to get acclimated.
It was a difficult situation where we had big demands on the crew. And I remember Sam giving a speech when the new crew came in on Monday. And Sam gave them a patent speech, essentially saying, okay, you've seen what we're up against here. You've seen what we have to do. You understand the challenges here. So anybody else who needs to go now.
I knew then, it was interesting, I knew then that Sam was going to do what it has to take to make movies. Because usually when you're into it and you're going, you don't uproot like a major part of your show.
This is the tough side of Sam. He's a real sweet guy, real nice guy, but he's got to get his movie made. Nothing's going to stop him from getting his movie made. No crew member, no actor, no nothing. And I'll tell you, the rest of the crew really stepped up. When they saw that happen, they were like, whoa, we see that this guy's very serious about what he does. So everybody kind of was really quiet and just got to work.
And I remember, I think it was the second day of shooting, we did the shot where the camera starts out in the woods and comes rushing towards the back of the cabin and bursts through all through doors and then goes right into Bruce's mouth. And, Sam wasn't sure about me. It's like my second day on the film. And so he did a couple takes, and so he said, do you want to try it? And I said, yeah, I want to try it. So I think I did about 3 or 4 takes. And then when we saw the dailies the next day, I think he preferred, I don't want to speak for Sam, but I think he preferred my takes. Then we sort of, developed a level of trust from that day forward.
I mean, he really came to play. I mean, anything Sam could throw at him, he would do.
Sam has a shot of Ash being swept up by this evil force, and it's spinning him around. So we had to find a stretch of road that was at least a mile or 2 long, probably 2 miles, with no bends in it.
that shot took a whole day, that one shot. Bruce was basically strapped into a mechanism that was mounted on top of a crane that we drove down a road.
So it was a device that Sam could control. I could rotate this way, clockwise, counterclockwise, faster, slower. And the special effects guy, Vern Hyde, would come up and go, "Yeah, Bruce, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?" I'm like, "Why do you care?" He goes, "Well, because it's probably going to come out, and I was just curious how much you ate because I'm going to be down below." I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound good.
The rig went really slow, and we shot at like 2 or 3 frames a second.
So we're moving down this road, being pulled by a crane as I'm going up into the trees and down and around. And there are people from below with branches.
And would just walk by and smack Bruce with the branches and then go to the back of the line and smack him with branches. So that whole scene.
It's a ridiculous setup. I mean, it's just absurd. And that was one day. We took an entire day to get 5 seconds of film.
The thing was that Sam has so many tricks, you know, that we just always needed to quite, you know, make sure we understood what Sam wanted and what his storyboards were, and that we were able to deliver whatever those shots were. There's like a couple mirror shots, you know, where we had Bruce in the mirror in a makeup and then a double, you know, over his shoulder, that gag, which works really well.
Every day was just a challenge to figure out how to accomplish what he needed. He wants the evil entity to be, it's a POV shot, roaming through the woods. Very wide angle lens, so you see everything, so you have to hide everything. You're seeing everything. I mean, it's like a fisheye almost.
It's like a 14 millimeter or something, so it's a pretty wide focal length, and you can get away with a lot of motion. You know, it's very forgiving, but yeah, I mean, just basically handheld and low to the ground and just running.
So he wants the evil entity to go from behind his Oldsmobile, break the back windshield, go through the middle of the car, break the front windshield, and go out across the hood. That was called the Ramo Cam. What that was is a cart with wheels that you could push with a long pole, probably 20 feet. It was a metal pole with handles at the very end. You mounted the camera at the end, and there were these puncture things right by the lens of the camera. It also had to teeter, because Sam wanted to go from the ground up over the back of the hood, through the back, and through the hood. So it had to raise in elevation. So we had a take where we hit the trunk, can't use it. We hit the rearview mirror, wipe the rearview mirror out. We tried it actually. There were several different attempts to shoot the one shot. We had one rig, it was failure, failure, failure. This rig ain't gonna work. We wound up shooting it again several weeks later. And finally, I remember everyone cheered. We finally got the one shot. They came up, they rammed it through, shoved it all the way through. It worked. We were like, oh, thank God.
We had a lens attachment, which is, I guess, sort of passé now, but it actually is still effective. It's called a mesmerizer, and you can crush things this way, or you know, horizontally or vertically, and you can spin it. And a lot of those shots were done at a frame a second or 2 frames a second. You know, just a really radical frame rates. Days would go by and we wouldn't shoot 24 frames a second. And the poor sound guy would just sit in despair because he didn't really have anything to do sometimes.
Sam was very specific in the script about which cameras would be used, at which film speed, if the film was run in reverse. So reading it, there was no question how he was approaching things, and it made it very clear for the camera department and for me how it was going to be done. And I don't think I ever had any concerns or questions because it was clear, oh, we're doing this as a reverse shot. I know what I need to do.
Most of my best acting was done in reverse. We had a ping pong ball type eyeball, a hard eyeball, on a dowel.
Action. Let her fly. Fly ball, eyeball. Scream it, shoot the camera a little more.
And then the reverse camera work, I had to, it was a gelatin eyeball. Nasty.
So we put the eyeball in her mouth and have a string on it, and she'd have to learn how to react. Like they'd pull it out, and then she'd have to pretend like she was seeing it coming because they were going to reverse it. And it's one of the most effective scenes in the movie, I think.
One effect, I think, that worked really well in some, which was not just a makeup effect, was when Cassie Wesley is being raped by the tree. That was a very clever effect because it involved makeup effects, art department, trick photography, a certain amount of stunt work just for that one shot.
But what we ended up doing was shooting it in reverse. We had a fake platform with the ground moving the opposite direction.
I mean, that was just a carpet, you know, with twigs and stuff glued onto it. We pulled it really, really fast.
They had Cassie suspended above the floor, so she was about 6 inches off the stage floor. And if a camera is filming above her, which it was, it would look like she's being dragged along the floor of the forest. So while that rig was all in place, we made her up and we literally took these latex vines and lubed them up with KY. And we stuffed them in as far as they would go until she was bulging like a chipmunk.
Do you think the vines beginning here, then you should look below, buddy?
And then on action, we would just pull them out. So you pull them out and they start coming off. And then when you reverse the film, they all look like they're going through.
Go. So how was it, Cass?
Oh, it was like wonderful.
Was it good for you?
Dude. It was good for me. Now put it back in, boys, just like they were.
I mean, it was gags like that that just made me really enjoy working on the movie, even though it was gruesome out there.
It wound up being a difficult long shoot, but it was not the nightmare shoot. It was one of our best planned, best orchestrated shoots.
I don't think anybody raised their voice on that set the entire time we shot. I don't remember anybody getting angry. I don't remember anybody yelling or screaming about anything. We just had a good time.
I don't think we did a lot of reshooting on Evil Dead 2, but if we wanted to, it wasn't that big of a deal, you know, because we were sort of this concise unit of people.
I think with a DP and Sam, that's the most important relationship on a set. You know, I mean, he ran with that camera, he had his crew, you know, rigging up stuff the way Sam wanted it. And so I think Sam finally got a guy that went, okay, he's willing to go where I'm willing to go. And, you know, obviously they've been working again.
Yeah, I was delighted to hear from Sam when he was preparing Drag Me to Hell. So we got to reteam on that, and now we're doing Oz the Great and Powerful. I look back on Evil Dead 2, and I think there was a certain naivete in our approach in that there was nothing that we couldn't really do. You know, if we set our minds to it, we could do it.